I'm Sheila Taylor with the Lemoore Recreation Department, and I'm thrilled today to have some past and the present fire chief here with us. We are all getting ready for the 100th year anniversary celebration at Veterans Park in Lemoore on July 24th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. I know it's going to be hot that day, but it is a water day, so we'll have water slides for all the kids. We'll have water games. We're giving out free hot dogs. There's 1,000 of them waiting for you that day. There'll be fire truck rides, which I know every child in Lemoore gets excited about. So we hope you can all attend. And right now, it's just an honor for me to be here with these three gentlemen. I have a 15-year career with the city, and the fire department has helped the recreation department out tremendously. Last year during COVID, it was very tough to have any type of community event, and we had drive-throughs. We did a drive-through Halloween event where 1,000 cars came through the recreation center, and at the end was our fire department, and Chief German was there, and the fire trucks, and that was the hit, of course. So we gave out over 600 pounds of candy that night, and the fire department was there supporting us. And then it was time for the Christmas parade, and we couldn't have one, so once again we went to the drive-through Christmas parade. And the fire department made this tremendous display for Santa to put by the tree, and I got down there and all the floats were on the street, on the side of the street, getting ready for the cars to drive through. And there just wasn't quite enough, so all the firemen said, "What do you need?" And they went and got it, and by the time the parade started, that street was tremendous, and I just wanted to thank the fire department for that. And then they thought I was crazy because we were the first event we had when it started opening up was we did an Easter egg hunt downtown to support our downtown merchants, and every store was giving out Easter eggs, and it wouldn't be the same without the fire trucks. So I called Chief, and once again, the fire department came through, and they were the hit of the event. Any child that wanted to got to sit in the fire truck and take pictures, and the fire department is just always there for us. So 100 years, what does it mean to me? I grew up in this town, and I remember seeing the Beatles movie at the Lemoore Theater when I was in 1960 something. I remember the Christmas trees every year, and I remember as a little girl going to the fire department and getting my first red hat, plastic hat, and putting it on. So the fire department is part of my history, part of my kids' history, my grandkids now, and they just mean the world to me. So I'm very happy that we can document some of this history, and I hope you all join us on the 24th at Veterans Park at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and we'll celebrate the fact that we still have a volunteer fire department and they've served us for 100 years. And I'm going to turn this over now to Jennifer Solis, who is our Facebook woman, and she'll take over.
Yep, Jennifer Solis, just a resident, just helping out, and I'm so excited to have, so many years of chiefs here. And just I want to make sure that it's clear that the event, it's a completely free event, right?
Completely free event.
Yeah, so hot dogs are free, water slides are free, the games are free, everything is free. So, come join us, cool off, bring your chair, bring your blanket, if you want something more than a hot dog, bring, some additional food and just kind of hang out.
And there'll be some food vendors there also.
Oh,
so
good.
We'll have food vendors there, snow cones will be there. And also the opening ceremonies where we're going to have the dignitaries there, and we're going to actually honor the 100 years of service will be at 10:30. So we hope everybody can make it to that part.
Yeah, so cool. So Sheila gave me a fun long list of questions, but feel free to add your questions in the comment section. We chose not to do this live. It kind of worked out a little bit better, and so what we'll do is as questions are asked, Sheila will jump on there, and if she needs to talk to any of the chiefs to get the additional questions, we would love to have questions from kids, from parents, from whoever. So I know Sheila kind of shared, what does a 100-year anniversary mean to you, and what does that mean to you guys?
It's like you guys keep saying, it's just a tremendous deal that we've been able to do this. You hear about volunteer fire departments slowly but surely going away, and it's just a testament to our ability to do what we do and with the new people that we bring in, the young people that want to continue the tradition.
Yeah.
And we're strong. We're all dedicated, and fire department means a lot to a lot of people.
And I'm gonna jump in because let's introduce these wonderful men I have sitting by me.
Yeah.
Who just spoke as our current fire chief. Just go ahead and introduce yourself and how many years you've been in.
Yeah.
And
My name is Bruce German. I am the fire chief. I became the fire chief in 2017, and I have one more year. I will retire next year, 2022. When I first got in, I was recruited in 1988. I was actually recruited by this guy sitting next to me, who's Norm Garcia, who was chief at the time. And I've got in 1988, and I've gone through the ranks, and several years ago I was elected chief.
Oh, cool.
I'm Norm Garcia, retired, and I can't remember exactly, but I think it was 65 the year I got in, and I was in here for 27 years. I was chief for 8 years. I think this department's come a long way.
Yeah, yeah.
And great bunch of guys. And I do the world for them. That's all I can do.
Cool, thank you.
My name's Gene McGill. I think I joined around 1970. I was in the fire department for 36 years. And he signed my application, Chief Garcia signed my application. So it's been an honor to be a fireman, a volunteer fireman, and I think it's a great 100-year celebration.
And when did you become chief? I'm putting you on the spot.
I was chief for 4 years.
4
I
years.
think it was
Okay.
99 or something like that.
And I will say, we are missing one other chief. It was Gene, and then we had Chief John Gibson. Actually, it was Norman.
Yeah, Norm.
Then it was Manuel Lewis.
Manuel Lewis.
And then it was Gene, and then John Gibson, and I took John Gibson's place back in 2017.
Wow, cool. And I know a lot of people don't necessarily know what it means when we say volunteer fire department. They're just kind of like, what do you mean they volunteer? Aren't they paid? And it's like, no, they're not paid. And so I know you've talked about this a little bit at like city council meetings and things like that, but if you can kind of give us a refresher of the difference between, why the city has a volunteer, fire department, because I've heard stories of if we had a paid one, it would cost the city like $1 million or something, and then it would only ensure that we had, 2 firemen, and because of California, standards of safety, you might see those 2 firemen sit, outside waiting for the county firemen to show up, but when we keep it with volunteer, we pay for their training and we pay for their equipment, things like that. But is it 32 that we have right now, volunteer?
Yes, 35,
32.
actually 35.
Oh, 35, thank you.
Actually 35.
Wow, and so to have 35 people in our community volunteer, you guys have probably seen them, when you hear that loud siren. I know new people in the town are like, what is that siren? Is it like a nuclear thing, And that's how the volunteer department is called, and you see cars zipping through town, and so it's just an interesting setup, but it saves the city, and then it actually saves you guys personally because they hold a standard of being in the top 5% rated in the is that a national?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
national rating. Because they're in the top 5%, that equates to less or lower home insurance for all of us. And so keep that in mind too. What these volunteers have built over the years not only helps us when we have a fire, but helps us financially, helps us, put on events, helps us keep the area safe, and
Right.
fill in what I didn't say about that.
Well, Jennifer's correct. Volunteer versus paid. And again, most paid fire departments have 2 personnel on 24/7. But the state of California, or OSHA, whatever you want to call it, it is 2 in and 2 out. And she is correct again that if your house, it can possibly happen, if your house is on fire and the fire truck shows up and you have 2 guys, they cannot make entry into that house to fight it. If your kitchen's on fire, bedroom's on fire, that kind of stuff, they cannot make the entry until there's 2 more, as they call them, 2 in, 2 out. There's got to be somebody, 2 other people, basically backing them up outside the door. The only way they can get in is if there is somebody, threat of loss of life or something like that. But otherwise, they can't do it. But when we roll up, our trucks will hold 7 people. Our truck will roll up. We might be a minute or 2 later than a paid fire department because we got to wait till the guys get here, the people get here from their homes, but, we get a full truck, 7 people, our truck will roll in, 7 people will roll out, and we'll fight that fire. And within a minute or 2 minutes, we will get a second truck, and you will get another 7 or 8 guys.
Yeah.
And then slowly but surely, more people will show up and more people will show up. It's not unusual for us to have 20 or 25 personnel on scene within the hour, because they do just keep showing up. Some people will bring us ice chests full of water. They'll bring our rehab truck, as we call it. You know, it's got our fans, it's got our ice chests, it's got our lawn chairs and things like that in it.
Yeah, which is so, I mean, it's
Yeah.
so cool to see it happen. I know luckily nothing's burnt in my neighborhood, but I did forget to open is it the flue or whatever it's called, you know? And I was outside doing yard work and all my alarms were going off and you guys showed up for that. And they do have different levels of calls, I learned, you know, because they were like, sorry, we came slow because you're like a lower, you know, it's like not, the house isn't on fire. And I'm like, oh, that's good to know, you know? So I know there's different ways to do that, but it is really cool. Is there anything you guys would like to add to that? Even, has it changed? I'm assuming, you know, when you guys ran the department, it was definitely when you were chief, it was
Pretty much the same.
pretty much the
Everything-
same.
We kept the same amount of people, or
Yeah,
we've got a lot more equipment than we had.
yeah,
Which we started purchasing, and every year's expanded with Jeep.
yeah, you probably give him a hard time, he probably has nicer trucks.
Yeah.
They implemented the EMT program.
Oh, yes, good point, because when you had done the report in April, and I'll add a link in the comment section to the Lemoore Volunteer Fire Department report for 2020, I didn't realize it was like more than half the calls
Right.
were
Oh,
medical
yeah.
related.
Absolutely.
And you
Wait.
have, I think, is it like
Oh.
16
Would you-
EMTs and then
Yeah.
8 more
Russell
in the
Cripps,
program?
I know the chief,
Yeah.
Russell.
Yes.
Yeah,
So, trying to think of when we started the EMT program.
oh, the EMT program when it started. I mean, and that's just amazing. I mean, it's just amazing the talent that we have in our little town.
Talent.
Yeah.
We think you're very
Thank you,
talented.
talent, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks,
You do,
Jennifer.
Thank you,
do.
Jennifer.
All I knew is
You don't know us very well, do you?
I'll tell you, I didn't know what to do, like, when the flu happened, and I didn't realize, like, in a house full of smoke, like, I'm thinking that I could have seen, like, my phone or even, like, my hands, you know, and I was just so blown away that they, like, get the giant fan out, they open all my windows, and I'm like, I didn't even think of that, you know, like, so yeah, no, definitely.
And you know, you don't realize that they're EMTs until something happens at your own home. Like you said, my daughter had a seizure and you know, you call 911 and these guys show up. You
Yeah.
go, oh, okay, I know you, come on in. And
Yeah.
it's like, so it is amazing that we have that here in our community.
Yeah,
It's amazing what I'm thinking is, most of these guys, 99% of us, my best friends in the world.
yeah,
But
yeah,
when
'cause
that
you
fire
spend a lot
alarm
of
goes
time.
off, they're
Yeah.
a different breed of people.
Are they?
They're a fireman. They're,
Yeah.
you get stuff out of it you never expected. All the time I was in there was one guy that if I got in trouble, he would back me up.
Yeah,
And they knew I would do the same thing. So it's a close-knit group.
yeah, I mean, I think it would have to be, I mean, because you really have to trust each other. I mean, I think about just making a dinner, anything you do together with, you know, a group of people to execute something, and when it's an emergency, and I know we all have families in our, you know, little emergencies at home, like maybe the toilet's flooding the house or whatever, but we all, you know, scream for help, and you guys are it's like this perfect musically, you know, choreographed.
Well, when Faith first became our secretary 3 years ago, she was the same way. She was skeptical. How does a volunteer fire department work?
Yeah,
And we had the grand jury come through a year or 18 months ago, and they were basically asking us some of the same questions. And Faith, she stepped in. She goes, I had the same questions you guys have, but they make it work, and
Yeah.
it's always worked, and they make it work, and it's just amazing. There's no explanation to it or anything like that, but they make it work,
yeah,
and it works well.
That's
yeah,
what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Like the fire department, they don't just fight fires, they got the EMT guys. You'd be surprised, there's always a project going on. You have to test the trucks every year, and they volunteer their time to do that.
yeah.
That's
Oh, and I'm
what-
sure there's a ton of training and everything else that you guys
Yeah,
have to
they
do.
do
And
a
that-
lot
yeah.
extra.
Yeah, and that's a misconception on some of the lot of the volunteer fire departments, that you think they're just a bunch of good old boys that, you know, wear their hats and got well.
That's why I'm
Big
sitting
buildings
behind
on
the
us.
table.
But, we do, every Tuesday night, we come and we have a 15 or 20-minute meeting. We discuss what's been going on, if we've had anything major going on or what's coming up. And then we go out and drill. I mean, we pull hose, we squirt water. The other night, some of the guys went and they put their air packs on and their equipment and face masks. They climbed in a swimming pool just to get that feel of it. And we're out there doing it all. The guys will go down, we'll walk the stairs at the football stadium, so you get used to wearing that air pack and feeling it and working up a sweat, basically.
Yeah.
Instead of just being a good old boy and not training, not knowing how it works or anything like that, we do it. We have a lot of in-house training. PG&E will come and talk to us. The gas company will come and talk to us. We've had the pipeline people come and talk to us.
Wow.
So we've got a lot of, there's a lot of training.
So
Yeah.
I imagine
Yeah.
there's standards and training that you have to keep, that the OSHA
Yes.
makes you do,
Right.
so.
Yes.
So you do the same type of things that any paid volunteer fire
The
department
state
does?
of California, if I understand it correctly, the state of California says even if you're volunteer, you have to meet the same criteria that a paid fire.
They've had the air base, come out.
Yeah,
If there was a jet crash, how, the ejection seat and what to do.
exactly,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
And we've had,
NAS Lemoore's come.
Yeah.
so say if someone, abandoned home, we've had fires, we go out there, burn the home down and train
Oh,
at that.
so that's what I wanted to ask, because I know this last year has been a ton of remodeling, and, and I've heard that sometimes you can invite, the fire department team to come in if you need like a wall taken out, just for them to like practice banging through a wall, or practice like, burning down a home if the home's gonna be destroyed
days.
anyway.
Haven't they changed the rules on that? We used
Have they? Oh,
We used to be able to do it, the San
Old stories.
I'm gonna say it's the San Joaquin
Right.
Valley Pollution Control. They'll let you, but you gotta make sure all your wiring's out, it doesn't have asbestos, blah, blah, blah,
Oh,
blah.
okay,
Yes,
yeah.
there's
Yeah.
process. We
It-
used to- we
it's
just-
quite-
A lot more
Yeah,
rules.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot more rules than in your time.
The
You're like,
la-
"We
the
just
last, the
bang
last
it
time
down."
we did it was, they tore some old apartments down in Corcoran on Orange Avenue, I believe, to make room for the, high-speed rail.
Mm.
And they kinda got a variance to burn some of those.
Yeah.
And that's been several years ago.
Yeah, just to even
Take
practice.
asbestos out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the.
Yeah, a lot of
So
work.
one of our questions was, that you think it's an advantage to be an all-volunteer fire department?
Well, definitely, I think the advantage to be all instead of half and half is, it just doesn't seem to work out. The paid guys they get X amount of dollars and the volunteer doesn't, and so when it comes to cleanup, who's gonna go and who's gonna stay and clean up?
Mm.
They have a lot of friction. When I first got in the fire department, there was volunteers all over, and especially at the coast, I had a place over there, and they've all dwindled down because it just, they're banging heads too much together.
We're one of the last ones, aren't we?
We're actually, our area, I think we are. I don't know if Corcoran has any at all.
I don't know, I know that, I know Reedley is kind of 50-50 or 75-25, but yeah.
Yeah.
But so far, keeping it all volunteers or paid, I think is the greatest thing, because it just doesn't.
Well, it's worked for 100 years.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
far.
Or like, Chief Jordan pointed out, it's, you have more people there, I mean, you're just able to do it, for a small town, I mean, if we had a budget of a large town, I think it might be different, but for
Sure.
a small town, it'd be
But
good.
even, we're talking about small towns, large towns, with the fire chiefs conventions, and back on the west coast, there's large volunteer, all
Oh,
three
wow.
volunteer.
Yeah, back
To this
east.
day,
Interesting.
they have, they'll
Really?
have paid administration, paid, like we have paid maintenance, stuff
Yep,
like that.
yeah, paid business inspector
But
or
they
whatever,
also,
yeah.
they get paid as a volunteer, and they are required, some departments to sleep in the house, they have to stay in the firehouse, but that's still volunteers, so they're very active, don't take me, there's a lot of large volunteer fire departments.
Yes.
Yeah,
New
that's
York
good
has
to know.
one.
New York, and
Do you track how many hours of training that you do?
yes.
Yes, yeah, we do.
Is there some like, how many hours?
There's,
do you do?
Hour and a half to 2 hours every Tuesday.
Yeah, I was gonna say a
So
few hours
whatever,
a week, so
whatever that
100
math
hours a
is,
year.
but then on some of our fire calls and things like that, it actually qualifies as training also.
Oh,
Yeah.
So, I don't say we take advantage of it, but we do, it all adds up. But
That
there
is
is,
'cause, yeah, if you're already there, and if the
Yeah.
safe, you know, if it's now safe or whatever in the cause, then yeah, it's like if you can
Yeah.
kind of be like, hey, try this or whatever, we've never seen this before, yeah.
no,
On
there
the
is
job.
there is a list of what we are required, you know, every year that you have to do, and we do cover it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do
Yeah.
cover it.
Was there one call or incident that stood out to you or stayed with you kind of during your time as fire chief?
I think all of us have a different fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a fire you think is probably, I'm thinking because that's the scariest.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what you train for, and you
Yeah.
work at, and you go home at night and wonder, did you do the right thing? The pastime was mine, it was,
Can we edit it out or?
three
Hey, sorry, we're gonna have to edit
Chinese
this part.
restaurant,
oh, sorry, Sheila Augustine's getting
Yeah,
that.
that was the Hanford Sentinel, and they would like to interview you guys.
That's
So,
great.
I gotta go to work.
is there any other day we could do? They're
Well,
asking, when are you leaving?
I don't know.
They're asking if they can do it tomorrow,
No, I'm headed to Idaho tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock,
and you have to go to work today.
and I've got a 3-hour safety meeting at 11 o'clock.
So this is what I'm thinking is if they have specific questions that they wanna ask, if they can give them to you and just say, we're asking a ton of questions, so if you can tell us what your questions are, and if there's anything we'll miss, we'll add to it.
And then
we can do-
before the anniversary, you guys are you're leaving, right?
I won't be back till Friday, the day before.
Okay, and
And I'll
then
be back that Friday.
Friday, the day before.
Well, I shouldn't say.
I mean, if they wanna
We
get
have to
here,
help.
Well, you
say
said-
if they wanna be here Saturday morning, early, yeah, I'd say early, 9 o'clock or whatever,
Okay.
before the event starts,
Oh,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
that might be a possibility.
yeah.
All right, I'll
Yeah,
call
we'll
him after
definitely all
we're
be here
done.
then.
I'm gonna make sure my phone's on silent.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna re-answer that question, so that way it'll be easier for you to kinda cut. So is there one call or one incident that stood out to you during your time as fire chief?
Good.
Well, I wasn't chief yet, but I was just months away from becoming chief. And we had some apartment fires. I can't remember what the name of them are, but they're the blue apartments that are just to the east of the daycare center on Hanford Armona Road.
Mm-hmm.
And, there was a propane tank for a barbecue that exploded, and that whole unit caught on fire. And I hate to say it, but we could never put it out. We tried and tried and tried. We had several county units come and help us. We had our ladder trucks up and everything else. And it's one of those deals that you just hang your head and like, gosh, I wish I could have figured out what to have done better. But it got up in the attic and it ran from one end all the way to the other end.
Yeah,
we
I've
had-
heard that, once it gets in the attic, you
Yeah.
can't do anything.
Yeah, we had people on the roof, we were cutting ventilation holes, we were getting in there and trying to do what we could, and it just kept running from us, and lack of a better way to say it, we burnt it to the ground.
Yeah,
You know, that's one of those things, you live and learn,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know, and it's one of those that's always stuck in the back of my head, that I will try my best to never have that happen again.
yeah. And if you can help people understand, cause I know we're taught, you know, in school and different trainings and stuff, just as, you know, the regular residents, as you need to smother a fire. So like, why would you cut holes into a roof, right? In a resident's point of view, it's like, wait a minute, it looks like you're allowing oxygen to the fire, but I know there's reasons for it.
Yeah, it's basically you try and get in there so you can stop it and get in the front end of it and work it back and
Yeah.
let the heat, because I think everybody's seen that, backdraft, you know, and there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah.
But if we open those holes far enough in front of it, then we're able to ventilate it, as we call it, we ventilate it, and, we're also able to get in there and get water on it.
Yeah, so it doesn't turn into like an oven, right? Cause it's
Yes.
just getting hotter and hotter and hotter, yeah.
But the bad thing about the apartments is they're 2 stories, so even the bottom story, there's a little air gap in there, an attic, and then you have the top floor and it's got an attic, so they're real hard.
Yeah, interesting.
Norm,
Same-
how about
yeah,
you?
same
My
question.
fire?
Yeah.
Either
Okay,
way,
I
Norm or Jane.
talked to the pastime probably, the largest one, it was the restaurant pastime, Country Kitchen and Superior. All 3 buildings, there was quite a fire.
Oh, wow.
I think G was on it, and you weren't in yet.
I wasn't
but,
in there.
We had the city, we worked a lot at my time with the city of Hanford fire chiefs,
Mm-hmm.
and they were here, the county fire chiefs were here. That was a tough one. And,
Yeah.
you go overnight and wonder, did you do the right thing, you know?
Exactly.
It's
That
it's not as
armchair
easy
work.
as people think.
Oh, I can't, yeah, I don't,
That's something that sticks in my mind till today, you know,
yeah,
did I do this right, should I have done this? That's what I'll never forget.
yeah, wow. Gene?
You know, I had two of them, but I think the nightcap sits in my mind, cause that was my first major fire.
That was good with
And
them.
I remember getting on #1 truck and I kept memorizing that position I was in. And I was kinda, you know, first major, and it was an all-night one
That was
too.
all night, yeah, cold.
Cold,
I-
basement was flooded.
Our wives kept bringing socks, I never forget.
Yeah,
that.
you brought coffee.
And I would change socks 50 times.
And that's one thing the wives would do, you can
Yeah.
call one up and write down the list.
Yeah, which I think that's in a lot of marriages, right? Like whatever we kind of volunteer to do, the spouse gets kind of
Yeah.
swept in whether they like it or not.
Bruce had his fire, my other was Lakeview, partner on 4th of July.
Yes.
And that was a nasty one,
Wow,
fireworks,
yeah.
called that.
Yeah, and actually, if we can talk a little bit about fireworks, because we just had the 4th of July, holiday, and I know there were more aerial, in my opinion, I don't know, in the opinions of a lot of people on social media, there were more aerial fireworks, than before.
Yeah,
And I heard that there were a couple of people would put them in their trash can, put the trash can next to the house, and then a few hours later, it kind of,
Yeah, we had dumpster fires and we had trash can fires
And
this year.
yeah.
That's another thing
And-
the fire
and it's every
department does for years, inspect fireworks stands.
Yes.
And that's volunteers going out and doing it.
yeah.
But even now during barbecue season, we'll have dumpster fires where people dump their charcoal in the dumpster.
Yeah.
And like,
And put it on the patio upstairs.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Any
it's
tricks
crazy.
for them that you would tell them to do?
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Just leave it in the barbecue until it's for 4 days,
Yeah,
then you can throw it away.
Exactly.
Okay,
That's why
good
you
to
load
know.
the wife and the kids and go out to dinner.
Yeah. No, that's good. Sorry, I'm gonna skip over some of these because we
Yeah,
kind of
okay.
answered them, as we went, which is great. And so we kind of talked about, did the water used to be in the fire trucks in the old days, or did it used to be like before fire hydrants, or is fire hydrants kind of in the start of
I
it?
can answer part of that. It was years ago that the hydrants were all dry. And
Oh, so they
whoever
ran
you
out of
were-
water.
Yeah, there was no water in storage, so,
Yeah.
you had a structure fire, and it was Bruce's job, Chief's job, to go start the wells up, get water.
Oh
They
my
had
gosh.
to charge all those hydrants up, so carried very little water, a bottle of tea, 60 gallons, I think?
Something
Yeah.
like that, yeah.
We didn't have any water on the trucks. But then they developed the hydrants into all the systems and everything else, but, before, now you're carrying water, we still don't carry that much.
No.
The county years ago, when I was chief, they came up with these big, I forget how many, 1,800 gallon trucks? I
The
think,
water
big
trucks, yeah.
truck. And I think they needed as bad as that, but they still took half of her back up and all in storages, but they learned that everything now is from hydrants.
Yeah,
Of course, the country, you gotta depend on your,
on the well, yeah. out
but
in
if
the
you
country.
build a certain size deal, you have to have so much storage, water now and everything, so it's all.
Yeah, and I know that's something we ran into recently. You guys all experienced that. The city requested us to not do any outdoor watering because we lost the 1.5 million gallon tank. And part of it was because the pressure would not get water to the fire hydrants. Well, if you only have 60 gallons of, water you can hold on a truck, that's not gonna fight a fire. And if they can't, have enough water and get it to the fire hydrant, so it was really, a fire hazard. And so to keep that standard, that's where, the city was like, if we can't have people voluntarily comply to not use their sprinklers, then we may have to go to a boil water notice to ensure we can have, enough water going to the fire hydrants. And I know if you were like me, I didn't even realize that was how it would go down, or that's what the problem was. So that was just mind blowing that, what it takes to get water
We've
in
been
our
called
homes.
to Corcoran and Hanford, Avenel.
Mutual aid is
We've
low.
gone-
I think you
we've
just
gone
called to
everywhere.
Hanford.
Yeah, you just call everybody and say, help.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mutual aid.
Mutual aid.
Oh, the mutual aid agreement, yep.
That's right.
Yeah.
Mutual aid agreement.
Yeah.
Even we have NAS.
Yeah.
We did have it, Phil.
Yeah,
Phil did.
yeah, we just signed it.
Yeah, I was thinking you just had it at the last city council meeting. Wow, that's cool. Yeah, because I guess that's how you would do it. That makes so much, obviously they have the answers, so, so that's good.
Well, let's go back to that one before, because,
sure.
before, the new, what I call the noon whistle, we had talked about earlier. So, the kids were asking, when was the siren put on top of City Hall, and then that used to be the way that the firemen were called to the fire.
And I'm gonna let Norm answer that.
Well, actually, it started out with a horn, the noon horn, and, I can't remember what year we went to the siren, which was a lot louder and more capable.
Yeah.
And we still have the siren.
Yeah.
The horn is in, I think, where the Model T is.
I'm almost certain it is.
And it was just basically, like, I think it was 3 horns, facing 3
I
directions.
think it's 3 horns.
And was that the way that the firemen used to be called to
Yes,
the fire?
yes.
And
Someone just
we,
run over there and.
and in the city of Lemoore, we called it the noon whistle,
Yeah.
because every day at noon, it would go off.
Almost every day, they forgot sometimes.
They forgot.
Oh.
Who was in charge of that?
I would know.
There used to be a dispatcher
Right.
at City Hall.
At City Hall, we used to have this, but, and you never what?
And you actually just pulled a cord and it would go off?
Yeah.
Is that how you did
And
it?
it's all electronic now though,
Oh,
right?
yes,
Okay.
yes, it's set off from Hanford, or
Oh.
whatever.
Well, Hanford Dispatch to set it off, but
There
also
was-
some of us that have our walkie-talkie, we can set
Set
it
it
off.
off.
Oh, okay.
Certain
I think
number,
there was one
number and
time,
code in, and we can
was
set
it-
it off.
Yeah.
Chief Pereira, he thought it was the,
Oh,
was
that-
a train,
No, it was
what?
Ray 90 and, Frank Pereira was the chief at that time, and, the old horn sounded like the train horn. Well, just 2 guys went to the structure fire, Ray 90 and Frank Pereira.
Yeah.
And 90 was he was a real great fireman, but he'd get really nervous, so they started up number 2, they started knocking, the engine started knocking, so Frank said, turn it off, turn it off. Quit knocking, he started up again, started knocking again, he looked down, Raymond 90 was so nervous that he banged his floor on the foot, or foot to the floor. That shouldn't come out,
They're the only 2 that showed up, because it was a train.
I was a train horn and not the noon whistle.
I
Well,
think
that's
we've all,
dedication.
we've all done something like that.
Yeah, we-
Yeah,
somewhere.
the kid is
I won't
training.
tell what
Yes.
I've done.
Yeah.
But the noon whistle was such a
Yeah.
part
Oh,
of
yeah.
our lives growing up, because every day you heard it, and it was, and then when it went off, you knew that there was
Yeah.
a fire. When it went off, besides noon, everybody knew that there was
Well, that
a
was
fire
Yeah.
or an emergency.
the worst thing about the noon whistle or the horn or the siren, that everybody knew there was a fire, so years ago, they'd follow the fire.
Yes,
codes. We
I-
never
Oh,
did
yeah.
that, so.
Guilty.
Oh, like just to see it. Just
Oh,
to
yeah,
yeah.
That's never even occurred to me.
Oh,
Yeah. There was,
We had women that come to the fires, that's how their husband got in the fire department, because they'd follow the fire trucks. That's why I don't do them.
That's interesting. Hey, you gotta find them some, and then they get recruited too, right? It's like, hey, bring me socks. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of switch gears to like the Christmas tree, because you guys go. I mean, is it true that you like go up and chop down a Christmas tree and bring it home, and that's what goes? So has it always been in the same place
No.
downtown? So where else has it been?
It was right where Wells Fargo is, on that corner, that's Heinlein and
Yep.
Green Street, that's
Oh,
where
okay.
it originally started. And, someone was asking how they got it up there, there was a hole in the ground with a manhole cover, and we just set it in, it's about 8 feet deep. And anyway, the trees were a lot smaller in those days, because we did everything manually. Picked them up and actually physically moved them down here. And the people started, as we got younger, stronger, or wiser or something, we got a lot of equipment, we started getting bigger trees. Well, it did get pretty crowded down there, so
Yeah.
people started complaining about the traffic. So then we decided to go down to Fox. I mean, yeah, Fox is I can't remember this, Gene, you might be able to answer this for me, but I think we even went back one year because they complained because they wanted it back on
Yeah,
Main Street.
yeah.
And so then finally we just said, heck, well, it stayed right there, but, we've done that tradition for years and years.
Yeah, and it's a whole ordeal. You guys have a ceremony to raise it and everything. I've been to it. I mean, it's
Started getting
amazing.
bigger trees.
Yeah.
They got bigger and bigger, and each year they want to try to outdo one another.
Right.
Well, yeah.
each fire chief has to have the biggest tree in their
Right,
career,
as
yes.
expected. That's
Of course, mine was ever the biggest.
So which fire chief had the biggest tree so
Me.
far?
Me.
Right, Norm would say him because German has more equipment and better
There
equipment,
you
you
go.
know, so it's like, so
But
comparatively,
Norton had
you
the
know.
biggest tree down there.
Yeah,
I had the
there you
biggest
go.
tree here.
Don't forget, I signed his application.
Yes, he
There you go,
did.
there you go.
Yes, he did sign my app also.
I get
Yeah.
That's funny, that's funny, I love that. So do you have a favorite memory of the Christmas tree ceremony?
I can't tell you.
Okay, that's okay too.
I will say, they used to have the, I think they call it the downtown stroll, and I don't know if they had it, if it was called that at the time.
Yeah.
But it was the old time that
The holiday
you had
stroll, yeah.
they would have the jail and this and that, and they would come through and on the Christmas tree, and they would, whoever the tree chairman and or the chief would get thrown in jail, and it cost them $5 to bail them out or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, so a jail like around the Christmas tree?
Yeah, or up and down the street
Or up and
because,
down,
yeah,
yeah.
because they were having to
I
stroll.
don't know why, but you're saying that, and I just remember that
Yeah,
we used to
and
do that,
that's
but
been
it
a
was
long-
years ago.
It's been a long
Yeah,
time
it's kind
ago.
of as a fundraiser.
Yeah.
And
Well, I
actually-
won't tell you why they stopped that tradition. But I have a
Somebody get
pretty good
left
idea.
there.
Yeah.
Someone got left there overnight, they didn't want to bail it out for $5.
They might have stopped
I
some
know,
other
I
places
know.
before they got back.
Sorry, the fundraiser comment reminded me that there are shirts being sold right now
Right.
to help fundraise for the Lemoore Volunteer Fire Department. So you can wear those shirts. Plain Insane Graphics, or their acronym is PIG. They're on C Street. They're the ones printing them, so you can order them online or you can order them in the store. They're right next to the post office. So, so if you want a new shirt, that's pretty cool. That's funny.
So did the tree ever fall down? I wanted to know that.
Well, I can
Oh,
tell you a
good
story.
question.
I can tell you a story. All the history of it is it never fell down, but it was snapped off about 2/3 of the way down. One was there on Hyman, and there was Smokey's Bar.
Yeah?
Well, this young man, and I'm not gonna say where he came from, but he decided to climb up there and take the red light bulb off.
He
Oh
climbed
my
up the
gosh.
Christmas tree?
I'm
And
thinking.
And Kenny Jones was that was his tree. He was chairman of that tree. And we got-
It wasn't Kenny.
It wasn't Kenny.
Okay,
Oh, but
we need
Kenny-
to make sure we got
Yeah.
that, yeah.
The city of Lemoore had just got this new basket truck, man, the first one they ever had, and snapped that top off, so we got together. Kenny and me were on this one-man basket, which we were supposed to be, and there was a city employee, I ain't gonna mention any names. They didn't put the outriggers out, so we were trying to tie
You
this.
tied it together?
Yeah, we roughly, in
Oh
Portuguese,
my
they call it
gosh.
scuttaling, and then you wrap it in baling wire, and tie it. Well, every once in a while, we'd bet there, and I was on the top, Kenny was right below me, he was up, we were going, and that truck would just go, about 3 feet.
Yeah,
Well, every time that guy would step on the bumper down there, it moves this far, but at the top, it moves 3 feet.
yeah, yeah.
So we laugh about that to this day.
And did
That's
it
the-
stay tied
Yeah,
together
it
for
stayed,
all
we made it the
season?
rest of the year, yeah.
Wow.
We took,
I can't imagine.
That's amazing.
that's
Right.
the only time I never
I
fell
think
down.
today's safety hazard, we would be like, just tear it down, we'll get a new one,
No.
send them back up there, we'll get a new one.
Did the guy get hurt that
No.
fell off the
He
Christmas
didn't fall off,
tree?
he came down.
Oh, he came
Yeah, I don't know
down.
how that,
Okay.
you know, I don't remember whatever happened to that guy, but.
Climb back down.
No, we got down, but nobody got hurt. They didn't even catch the guy, I don't think, but the guy's witnessed it.
Oh my
That was
gosh.
a good story.
It is, it
I
is.
didn't know that.
So we kind of talked about Christmas, and so now we're gonna switch gears to kind of the a little bit heavier stuff. Has any of the firefighters lost their life in
Not in
the
mine.
100 years that we're aware of?
Not that we're aware of.
Yeah.
No, we discussed that earlier.
We did have, we lost one after a drill,
Mm.
in my time, but, due to heart, and we don't know.
No,
You
but-
haven't, yeah.
Yeah, because I think people, it's like, wow, they're so thankful that we have the volunteer fire department. We're so thankful that, you show up. But I think a lot of us don't realize, like, you're dealing with people on their worst day. I mean, in their scariest moments with their most valuable possessions of human life and their house and things like that. So it can
Yeah.
definitely be scary.
And just, well, maybe think about this, but you gotta admire the citizens of the merchants of Lemoore. At one time, my employer had 3 people in a volunteer fire department. And the time we take off, and he continued to pay us, and they were good about that,
Oh yeah, because a lot
Very, very well.
a lot of the
It cost me time, but his time that he was putting up,
yeah, a lot of the fire
got 3 of
department
us.
have regular
Oh,
jobs, and the employer can work with you. Wow, that's so cool. That's good to know. Because I know that question was even asked recently when we had the water incident, And Nathan Olson, the city manager, you know, went on and did a video and kind of gave everybody an update, and people were like, hey, where's the mayor? And I'm like, he's Lemoore Volunteer Fire Department, I bet he was at, you know, on scene, and he was, you know, and so it's like those type of things they don't realize you're in, you know, we're in a small town, so you wear multiple hats, and there are priorities, you know, life is definitely the priority. Have you ever had to give someone CPR?
I think we all have,
Oh, yeah. That
multiple times.
Yeah. What is your favorite part of the job? Or what was your favorite part of the job?
My favorite part of it is actually meeting the citizens of Lemoore, going out and helping them. Some of the calls you go on, it can be elderly, and it's basically, I mean, the husband is fallen out of his recliner, and the wife can't pick him up and put him back in it, and they're just so appreciative.
Yeah.
And it makes us feel appreciated.
Yeah.
Lack of a better way to say it, but it's kind of like you walk out of there and like, okay, this is what I'm doing this for. That's the people I've signed up to help.
Yeah.
I said, completely, yeah. The only thing I'd say is, and the closest is the guys working together.
Mm-hmm.
I just,
Yeah.
but we had my family down the street from me that we made several calls on them, and every year she'd write a pretty good check. I don't know if she
Yes,
still does.
she still does.
Wow,
Yes.
she donated money just to the fire department for equipment and
Yeah,
stuff, you know?
yeah.
And people are, you get hungry people, but most people are pretty appreciative, you know?
Yeah.
And it makes you feel good.
Yeah.
They appreciate, they thank you and everything.
And they catch you out sometimes.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. They're human.
That's human.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm just gonna say again, what heroes they are to the kids in the community. If you ever get a chance to watch our fire department with our youth, it is an amazing thing to watch. And they are heroes in the eyes of all the children in the community, and then they realize that, and they're great mentors, and they take the time with the kids, and I just can't thank them enough for all they do for the recreation department. But it's wonderful to watch how they interact with the youth, and it's just a tremendous thing that we have.
Yeah, and speaking of those little ones, so if you are young and you want to become a fire chief one day or be part of the fire department, what does that process look like? Do they just kind of knock on a door and say, train me?
Well, our deal is, and it hasn't changed.
It hasn't changed.
Basically, we say you have to have 2 references for the fire department that are from members. But some of our requirements is you have to live in the city limits, and you have to have had lived in the city at least 2 years. And
21.
And you have to be 21 or older,
age 21, okay.
and that's not our rule, that's the city's rule for insurance.
Oh, okay.
Insurance coverage.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you know, anybody can turn in an application, but the city limits us to a certain number of members, and so that's what we gotta adhere by.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
if we're full, you can set, there's been people that have sat on the waiting list for several years, waiting for an opening, and we can get them in, but,
Yeah.
sometimes there's an opening immediately.
Yeah.
But right now, we're full, but we don't have anybody on the waiting list.
Yeah.
There's a membership committee that they have to go through,
Mhm.
be interviewed, and
Yeah.
but the whole body votes on it.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
Oh, that's good to know.
yeah,
And then when they're accepted, then they train through you, through our
Yes.
department,
Yeah.
correct?
yep. Yeah,
Wow.
we issue them the equipment, the city requires a background check, live scan also is what they call it, they have to have a physical, it's just like a regular job.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even then, the city can tell us, no,
Yeah.
that you cannot bring him in for whatever reason,
The other thing, that one qualification was that you had to be able to attend fires and
Yes.
Yeah.
meetings.
Yeah.
You couldn't.
Well, yeah, and
say-
be in your schedule,
Well,
and then you
yeah,
probably
right,
have to have a
yes,
certain level of
right.
physical ability.
Yes.
No, we're pretty lenient about that, but.
Yeah, don't ask me.
Yeah, just look. Here's an example.
So that's good. So I know we talked talked a little bit this last year, COVID was so, you know, scary. Did you guys change anything this last year, or when you know?
After that.
Well, I was thinking like when you guys were in, if there was like a big natural disaster or something that affected the whole, you know, if you guys wanna share, I'll let
The,
Bruce
co-
go
the,
first.
the COVID deal, when it first came on, you guys might remember, you could only have 10 or less people.
Yes, oh, in a.
So in a group,
Yep, in a
so
room,
how we are is there's 35 of us, there's 3 chiefs, so in reality, there are 32 people. 32, and those 32 are divided up into 4 groups of 8. So what we did is we would have one group come in at 7:15 or 6:45. Those 8 would go out. Then at 7 o'clock, we'd have another 8 come in, and then the other 8, and then the last 8, and they would go and train for their hour and a half. That first group would come in, we would have food ready for them. A lot of times it was just a hamburger and fries in a paper bag or a burrito or something like that. We'd hand it to them, they'd have to go home.
Yeah,
And then 15 minutes later, the next crew would come in. So we did that for a long time.
Yeah.
6 or 8 months. We cut out our regular drills. We have once a month, we have our dinner night where these guys are invited also, and it's our business meeting. And we share with them what we've been doing and what's going on. And we had to cancel those. We weren't able to do those.
Yeah.
So we shuttled around, but we were in this for 18 months, and I think only 5 members actually came down with COVID. And at that time, when they got it, they were gone for 2 weeks.
yeah.
There was no ifs, ands, buts about it. You are not going to be able to come and,
Yeah.
you know, just when you get over it, then come on back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
But we were very good
Were
at
there
it.
a lot of calls that you answered concerning COVID during the time?
There were at the very beginning, before anybody really realized what it was or what was going on, and then we kind of, we pushed ourselves back and we followed Hanford City's protocols. EMS had protocols for us, and that's what we did. After it finally got down to it, we would respond to the firehouse and wait for the ambulance to say, yes, we need you. And then we'd go, but we would have our gloves, we'd have our gowns, we'd
Yeah.
have our goggles, we'd have our mask on.
Wow.
Yeah,
So a different time, huh?
yes, yeah.
Was there anything else in our history that?
I
compared
can't
to
really
that?
have any.
Or even like major natural disasters.
Yeah, I can't even think of a major natural.
Was you chief when we lost the water pressure?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
but-
but that,
Still, if you can't have water, I mean, that's still,
That's
that's
pretty.
to fight a fire, yeah. Well, I think that's
Nothing
all.
major.
I do have something.
Yeah,
If you don't,
wanna add anything,
yeah,
or
if you don't
we'll
mind.
look through and just make sure I didn't miss any questions.
We had this one question here that says, how has the equipment in fire trucks changed over the years?
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
obviously, the trucks, at the beginning, you couldn't haul water, you know, then some of the other trucks were all open cabbed and this and that, and we missed the time when you could still ride on the back of the truck.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know, you
yeah.
ride on the bumper and
Oh, I
like,
didn't even
yeah,
think
of that.
yeah,
Yeah,
and here you go.
And I remember
But,
that.
yeah, but that changed several years ago.
Mm.
I don't know if you were still chief or if you were chief, but that went away.
So was that because of
That went
OSHA
away
guidelines?
when I
or-
was a-
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
We,
Oh, you rode the horses.
I was a
And the pump-
We didn't
Went out
have,
there and did a physical.
we didn't have a roof on any of our trucks until,
Yeah.
number 3.
Probably.
Yeah.
What it was. We
Yeah.
got 2 roofs on the truck.
But I brought some, I did bring some of our equipment that we have.
Oh, good.
And, back in these guys' day, whenever you would have a gas leak or smell of gas in a structure, basically that's exactly what you did. You went, okay, I smell it. Well, they make these little things now, it's a sniffer is what we call it, and it will pick up, and you can go in and you can hit the button and it sniffs the air basically, and it'll tell you what kind of gas it is,
Oh, wow.
how strong it is, if it's over the threshold for explosive. This is a thermal imaging camera, and you'll hear a lot of people say a TIC, T-I-C, thermal imaging camera. And they used to make them, and they were, yeah, you'd have to hold them with 2 hands, and that's what they've got down to now. Basically, you can hit the button if they say you have a fire inside your wall. you point it at the wall or wherever it's at, or your attic, and it'll light up and it'll show you where that hot streak is, and it will also tell you the temperature.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
that's
Yes.
amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty slick. And then somebody had also talked about CPR. Everybody's talked about AEDs. We carry one of these in all our trucks. And it basically is it's a portable defibrillator.
That's what I was thinking, like the.
Yeah,
The
and
paddles and the.
yeah, and everybody says they're easy to use, and they really are. The darn thing will even talk to you.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I was like, I wouldn't
No.
be comfortable using
Yeah,
it,
we-
but yeah,
you know,
if you're
you-
trained.
Yeah, you hit the button and it says, it says, put pads on, and then it says, don't touch patient, analyzing.
Yeah.
But, and it'll tell you whether you need to start CPR or not, and that is chest compressions. This will actually give you the shock. So it's come a long ways
Yeah.
from when these,
Well, I'm thinking
When
when they
these
did it
guys
back
did it.
then, you just like hit the.
yeah.
I mean,
No, you did.
Yeah, that's what you had to do.
CPR has changed over the years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know
It used to
anymore,
be
yeah, it's
so-
no breath,
no breath,
it's
no
no
breath.
breath.
No
now,
breath
it's just- it's all
anymore,
chest
yes.
compression.
And when I first learned CPR, it was
Mouth to
breaths.
mouth,
Yeah,
oh,
mouth
yeah.
to mouth, yeah, and then.
But this stuff has helped out a lot,
Just think what we
just
could
the
have
little,
done.
just the little
Okay.
things.
Gene, if we'd had this kind of equipment, we
Yeah,
were in there.
I remember the first image of that
The
heat I
tip,
got.
yeah,
It was the gun, man, he sent.
yeah, and the batteries only last
That's the one I
about,
used.
Yeah,
it's
battery
hot.
only lasts 15 or 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
These things
I know,
say-
did you used to feel the walls in the old days?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah,
Just like we saw?
yeah,
Imaging machine. I know.
yeah.
And before you leave, this is gonna go out to the community, how important are smoke alarms and carbon monoxide?
Very,
Very,
How
very,
important? Tell everyone
very.
how important they are.
They,
Yeah, good question.
they save lives, bottom line.
Yeah.
They're a very integral part of what's going on. I will say this, what a lot of people don't know is the carbon monoxide alarms. They're built into the smoke alarms. Your smoke alarm is on the ceiling. Carbon monoxide gas is just a little heavier. So I always recommend go to, I would say Walmart or Costco or whatever, buy a box of the CO2 alarms that plug into your 110 socket that's 2 feet off the ground.
I didn't even know those were available.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
I
just
wonder
plug it in.
I
They're-
wonder if Lemoore Hardware has them.
They
you
probably,
know,
I'm
here
sure
in
they do.
town,
I mean,
yeah.
they're $10 or $15.
And you plug them into your outlet.
And you plug them in your outlet, and they're low enough. And something that people don't realize is they expire after 70 years. You can change the batteries, you can do anything and everything. They'll keep chirping, and they've just gone out of service. It has to be replaced. Best thing to do, if it doesn't and you can't fix it, pull it down and look at the manufacture date. And if it's 6.5 years old or older, you just need to replace it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, that's just, we get it all the time, and usually it's 2 o'clock in the morning and the people say, oh, it's been chirping all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us when it starts.
Yeah.
Well, that's perfect, because that was kind of the last question I wanted to end with was, are there any things that you frequently deal with that you want to tell people, or you get frequently asked questions, or you're like, gosh, I wish everybody would remember to, is there anything you guys would like to
Yeah,
add?
well, I was gonna say like I said, the smoke alarm
Yeah.
/ carbon monoxide alarm, that is, they're a
biggest.
pain in the butt.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
for lack of a better way to say it,
yeah.
or I could say it a different way,
Yeah.
but still, yeah.
I'm sure that people should, they don't, I know I don't, but set some kind of policy for emergencies, for your kids,
Yeah,
response places, things to do,
Yeah, come up
that's
with a
very
plan.
important.
How to get out of
Very,
your
very,
house.
very
Yeah.
few people do it.
Yeah.
but I would say that's one of the most important things there is.
yeah. And I know, I had just learned this in the past few years that they say, because I always had a plan growing up, I have a plan now,
Right.
but I don't think I realized that I should have timed that plan, because in my head, I'm like, I'll go to
Oh,
this
yeah,
room and
yeah.
grab that, I'll go to this room and grab that, but it's, the timing now is at 90 seconds or something, where they say, if you practice, get out of the house like in under a minute or a minute and a half, because you don't realize like how quickly, the fire can happen. So when you have kids, or when you have, valuables in different places, kind of think about where you keep those things, and so that way you
And
can
I'm
get
like
out.
you, I have a plan, and I think I know what window I'll go out of, but
Yeah.
I've never practiced, and as I have kids and grandkids
Yeah,
now.
time it and go, yeah,
Especially if you have a 2-story house.
yeah,
Yes.
oh my gosh,
And
yeah.
a lot of times, if it's a kitchen fire, if your stove's on fire, or whatever, you know what it is. But if one of your rooms is on fire, you've just seen that fire, but it could have been burning inside the walls or attic or whatever for an hour.
Yeah, yeah,
And so you've gotta remember or think, that there's more fire than just this that I see right here.
yeah, good
So
point, cause if you see it on the stove, you know where it started, where it's
Exactly.
going, but if anywhere else, if you see a room,
Yeah.
yeah,
I have a fire extinguisher.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, and so do you guys, so where can one get a fire extinguisher? Is it, can you buy them from the fire department, or do you get them
You can get
anywhere, right?
Costco,
Costco,
Lowe's,
everywhere.
Lowe's,
I'll
all
check
of
one at
them.
Lemoore Hardware, cause we had one, but I didn't realize you're supposed to get it like inspected, and so can
Once
we
a
get
year,
it
once a
inspected
year.
once a year? Oh yeah, I've had mine 10 years, it's not inspected, so I'll make sure I do that this week.
And the common fire on your kitchen stove, do you try to put it out or just get out?
Try to put it, I'd say, don't try to move it. That's where people,
Especially if it's.
they'll have a
grease or
frying
whatever.
pan or something, they wanna get that pan outside.
Yeah,
That's the worst thing you can do. Try to smother, try to do something, get out.
yeah,
Hey, you can replace that house.
yeah,
Yeah.
don't put water on a grease fire, right?
No, people talk about putting baking soda on it, or if you've got the lid sitting there, put the lid on it, but,
If you can't do that,
Yeah.
get out.
yeah.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah,
worry
but
about that house,
don't
that's-
hurt yourself.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not getting.
Alright, well,
Well,
great,
It's an honor to
Yeah.
sit here with all of you. It
Thank you.
really
But
is.
we are all very proud of who and what we are and what we've been.
Yes.
We've, these guys have laid the groundwork for us, and we wanna make them proud of us.
yeah,
And knowing all three of these, like I do, and other fire, members, they not only volunteer for the fire department, but you're gonna see them out in the community. They coach our baseball teams, our softball teams. We know each other from coaching, and, Norm has done so much for the community and been out there with our kids as, they were growing up. It's not just volunteering for the fire department, it's volunteering for the community, and, I'm very proud of all of you.
Thank you.
That's why we're proud to live in Lemoore.
Yeah, there's more in Lemoore.
So if you wanna meet them in person, remember the event is July 24th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and the ceremony is gonna start at 10:30, completely free event. We hope
At the
to
park.
see you guys at the Veterans Park.
Formerly
down-
City Park.
Formerly
yes.
City Park on
I
Bush
still
Street,
like
Stock
Bush.
Street.
Fox
Fox
and
and
Bush.
Bush.
Yep.
Veterans Park, the name was changed 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah, I didn't realize that
Yeah.
until.
And
Yeah.
I still go by Lemoore City Park.
Yeah.
Everybody does.
Which is good. So we hope to see you there. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you,
you guys
guys.
so much.